Hi, I'm back. After 2 or 3 months, it's been super busy. I know that you know that I know that it's been busy. January and February, and between the holidays, it gets a little bit quiet. So I thought I would make a quick video to kind of dip my toe back into the regular full length videos that I have always done before I discovered shorts. All right, today we're making French fries. So as you can see in my latest short, French fries that are store-bought are almost always cooked, par-cooked in oil. And they're usually super cheap oil. Industrial seed oils are terrible for you. They take decades to kind of show up in your system, but they are dirty fats and they will wreck your metabolism over time. So I am making my husband some French fries tonight because it's his favorite food. And I am using my old-fashioned vegetable punch here that I got from a yard sale. This is a real honest-to-God restaurant French fry cutter. And so I'm going to show you guys how to make super clean, super good homemade French fries. And it's pretty quick if you are organized. But there's a technique as always. So come down to the sink. Okay, so in my sink I have what are supposed to be russet potatoes, but they look like white potatoes to me, and they were in a different part of the store. So I'm kind of thinking maybe the store had a mislabeled batch of white potatoes that were labeled as russets, but these will work as well. They just look like white potatoes to me. I have some of my own that I grew this summer downstairs, but I'm not going to use those for French fries. So I'm just going to come over here to my punch, and I'm going to drop my potato into the chute. So I've set my pot right here, and here is my punch with my potato in it. So I just get them. All right, so I'm going to bring you back. I'm going to bring you back once I've gotten these all cut up. Okay, so the secret to really good potatoes, French fried potatoes like this, is you have to double cook them. And that's what they're doing with the French fry packages at the store. They par cook them in oil. And it's the cheapest possible oil, as I just said. So we're not going to do that here. What we're going to do is we're going to par cook them in water. Okay, so all I'm going to do is I'm just going to, if you guys remember on some of my other videos that you've seen, potatoes really need to be cooked in water that's cold, started in cold water. And then we're going to actually let these sit for a little bit and let some of the starch come out of the potato. Then I'm going to drain it off, and then I'm going to cook it in cold water until they're just barely cooked. And then we're going to drain them and let them dry. Okay, so it's been about 30 minutes. And I am just going to transfer the cut fries. It's always good to have your French fries cut to the same thickness when you're cooking vegetables. Any kind of vegetables. So I'm going to transfer these to a colander. Even though these potatoes have been washed, and they were commercial potatoes, so they were already washed, you see how the water has, this is mostly oxidation, but see that water? It's pretty dirty, and it's also pretty starchy. So when you can get the starch out of your, a little bit of the starch out of your potato, and then there's some little bits in there I'm just going to toss away, or put in the pig bucket. You can get rid of that starch. It just helps your potato to be a little crisper. You can also parboil these and lay them out on a sheet pan and freeze them, so then you have your own frozen French fried potatoes. But we're going to cook them tonight because we haven't had French fries in a while, because I haven't had time to make them from scratch, and I have time this week to do that type of thing between Christmas and New Year's. Okay, so we're gonna just let these drain and dry up a little bit, and then, well, actually, that's stupid. Why would I say that? we're gonna dump these back in the pot. It's always something around here. We're gonna dump these back in the pot, and we're gonna bring them up slowly to a simmer, and we're gonna simmer them for about 10 minutes, just so they're just barely cooked through. All right, here we go, guys. All right, so all of my French fries, my cut potatoes, have been par cooked, and you can kind of see they're a little bit on the floppy side, very, very slightly tender. All right, now if you leave these to dry off as they are, they could possibly overcook. So another tip is to spray them, once they've drained, spray them with a good amount of cold water to stop the cooking. What you're stopping there is something that in the business we call carryover cooking. So that simply means that once you've removed something from the heat, it will continue to cook unless you stop it by immersing it in cold water, ice water, or whatever. Sometimes if you have cooked it long enough, it can overcook in that carryover cooking phase. So I am just going to hedge my bets here and just spray it down with some cold water and shake it out and let it dry for about 20 minutes. One thing when you fry things, any kind of water that gets in with your hot oil is not helpful. So try to get it as dry as possible before it goes into the hot oil. I have set up my frying station with a deep pot with about an inch of oil in the bottom, and also a bowl with paper towels lining it. Be sure and set up your area where you're going to land your stuff before you take it out of the hot oil. Everything needs to be sort of arranged ahead of time. I don't actually use a thermometer, and I don't like buying expensive equipment that only does one thing, so I don't have a fryer. But what you can do is take a small piece of the potato that you've made, just a little peeling or something, and I can just break a little piece off and toss it in there. So it is about ready. It's starting to just fry a little bit, just gently. You can see the bubbles coming up there. This has been on low medium for about 10 minutes. And you can hear it. You don't want it too high. So if you're cooking with a pre-made fryer, about 350 for potatoes, something like that. But this is the way you can test it if you don't have one of those machines. Typically you want to let it just really get nice and warm and then turn it back down to low, and then just do everything very gently. You just want to do a couple handfuls at a time when you're batch cooking. Drop them very gently. This is not the time to be cooking with children. Children are great in the kitchen, but not when it comes to hot oil and that type of thing. The way that you know that things are done when you're frying them is that these bubbles start to die down. Those bubbles are the water in the food product that is cooking off. So once the bubbles stop, there's no more water in there and they're ready to take out. Sorry, my light. So once the bubbles have all died down, it's time to take it out. So I'm going to salt them, shake them around a little bit, okay, and then they'll hang out. And let me tell you guys this too. When you make stuff at home, it doesn't have all the additives and flavor enhancers, colors, stabilizers, different spices. It's just food. But just food is something that as a culture our palates have gotten away from, and so it's really good to just taste the potato and the salt and the olive oil and start to retrain our taste buds to enjoy something that doesn't have 86 ingredients and preservatives and stabilizers and all that stuff in it. So, okay, no, they don't taste like McDonald's French fries. They taste like fried potatoes. Okay, so when I did this larger batch, they are starting to get a little bit on the brown side, so these are going to be done. Sometimes when you're frying things, it takes you one batch to do, and then that first batch is kind of like when you make pancakes, and the first batch of pancakes turns out like a dog's dinner, all raggedy and terrible. Same thing with frying. Sometimes it takes a couple batches to get the temperature right, especially if you don't have a purpose-built frying machine. Okay, remember what we said? We're going to add our salt right away. Give it a toss. Okay. Quick side note, guys. Everybody should know this, but maybe you don't. You do need to have a safety plan in place for if you were to catch this on fire. If it's not flaming over, if the fat's not spilling over, you can take a well-fitting lid and smother the flame, okay? Or you can use baking soda, not baking powder, and for God's sake, not water. Never use water to put out a grease fire, okay, guys? So, as always, I want to thank you guys so much for coming to visit me here at Old Tavern Farm. Until next time, bye-bye.